Okay, yeah, so we know that cruising has ended, but have you thought about where cruising may start up again first? It's going to be in Asia. It's going to be in China. They've been shut down the longest. They've been dealing with the crisis the longest, and they should be through it before anyone else, which means they might be cruising before anyone else. Good indication of this is that a Chinese cruise company, Genting, has released new health policies that could be the standard going forward. In today's episode of the Lido Loca Cruise Show, I'm going to tell you about some of these new policies and see what you guys think. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tony with the Lido Loca Cruise Show. Welcome back. If you enjoy cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of our content. I did go out into the world today. I was unable to get the things delivered to the house that I needed, so I donned my protective gear, mask, gloves, went out and procured some food, some coffee creamer, and I even found one package of toilet paper. It's getting interesting out there, at least in my town. I probably went out of my house about 3 weeks ago. There was very few people wearing any kind of mask, any kind of protective equipment. But today there was a lot more things in place. My local supermarket had stickers on the floor keeping people 6 feet apart. They had a big plexiglass shield up in front of the grocery worker so that there could be no, respiratory exchange between the customer and the worker. The worker there at the grocery, they were wearing masks and gloves. So it's definitely changing out there. But able to stock up a little bit and now able to hunker down for a few more weeks and not have to leave the house. So we will see how that goes. Well, let's just get right into the story. Genting Cruise Line, a company in China, they own 2 cruise lines, Dreamline Cruises, and they also own Star Cruises. And I think they're eyeing the future, thinking that at some point they're going to fire their business back up and people are going to start cruising again, but they want to do it in the most safe way possible, and they've established some new safety guidelines for the whole cruise. Now we will start at embarkation, and this will not be that much unlike what we saw as cruise lines started to shut down here in the United States. There will be a temperature scanning required, a health declaration form required, and if you are 70 years or older, you will be required to provide a physician's note that says you are fit to sail. Another new process being introduced into Genting's embarkation process is that every passenger, when they check in online, they will be given a time to come to the cruise port, and the goal is to keep everybody staggered. Many cruise lines do this now, where they will offer you a time to come for your embarkation, but the goal here is really to keep to those times and to reduce the amount of people that are commingled together at the embarkation point. Genting will also be attacking the cleanliness of the cruise ship, introducing new sanitation procedures. Elevators need to be cleaned every 2 hours, and then handrails, hard surfaces that customers touch frequently, cleaned every 1 hour. Crew members being required to clean their crew cabin at least twice a day, wipe it down, clean the bathrooms. In public areas such as lounges, spas, they will be cleaned frequently. Theaters, for example, cleaned after every show. And then in the kids area, things like toys that are used commonly, cleaned after every usage. The goal is to keep everything as clean, as fresh as possible. So a lot of effort will be put into keeping the cruise ship sanitized. Now, a big change is coming, and a few cruise lines do this already. It's going to be the end of self-service buffet. That's right, no longer will you be able to go up and make the conscious decision whether or not to use the tongs. You will be served your food and drink in the buffet by employees who are wearing masks and gloves. This is a new requirement coming out for Genting. And let's talk about masks for a second. All employees will wear masks on the cruise ship that are public facing, that are interacting with the customer, and then the food service people will be wearing gloves in addition to the mask. So if you like to go get your drink at the buffet, or if you like to go get your own food, this is a change that's coming. It will be interesting to see if this change propagates throughout the industry. I like it for one. I think it's good. I think it's healthier, and it might slow things down from a dining perspective, but I would rather them serve me my food than go through the whole don't touch my food challenge. Genting also beefing up its medical facilities, designating quarantine areas, designating isolation areas so that if somebody does get sick on the cruise ship, they have a very specific isolation protocol and a very specific place where they can isolate passengers or crew that get sick. A big commitment is to make sure that doctors and workers that are working in these isolation areas have the proper protective equipment, making sure that the cruise ships are stocked with personal protection equipment, PPE. And they're even looking at their ventilation system to make sure that they are constantly providing fresh air in the public areas and in the cabins. Now, another change that would be noticeable in that cruise life is they will be reducing the amount of people that can congregate together in venues. Now, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but the way it seems to me from what I'm reading is that, for example, in the main theater, maybe they only allow half the capacity. I've been in some main theaters that were packed to the gills, standing room only, and so maybe this is what they're trying to combat, having all those people so close together, and so reducing that to half capacity. Maybe that causes challenges for popular shows. Who knows? But also the same thing. Maybe a lounge has a capacity of 50, and going forward they reduce that capacity to only 25. Maybe it causes challenges for people where they need to congregate, but I think the idea is to bake in some of this social distancing into that cruise life, recognizing that spread happens on cruise ships because a lot of people can be in close proximity, and so maybe they utilize other aspects of the cruise ship to spread people out and to make sure that they're reducing the capacity in the venues. I think that one would be the most challenging. Like, how are they going to have somebody policing every venue to say, okay, well, we've got 25 people here. Sorry, 26 person, you can't come in. That should be an interesting change to track along with. Now, of course, there's no word yet when China will start cruising again, and there's no word whether or not these same procedures, policies will be coming to cruising out of North America, out of Europe. Only time will tell that. And we talked about it a little bit in yesterday's episode. How are the cruise lines going to provide an environment that's free of the virus? I think that's going to be the biggest concern going forward. There's been things on cruise ships, norovirus. There's been Legionnaire's disease. There's been other things on cruise ships that they've worked through and continued cruising. But I believe in the short term, this current virus is going to be so focused that when cruising fires up again, the cruise lines are going to have some sort of process to know that that's not, like even in these procedures here, they're like, oh, we're going to take your temperature. Well, we know with this deal that you might not be showing any symptoms. Your temperature may be fine, but you still may have the virus and you still may be spreading the virus. So I think they're going to have to come up with something that says that the people that are getting on the cruise ship, again, I mentioned it yesterday, if they come up with this 15-minute test, I would feel super comfortable if the cruise lines tested everybody for the virus and got the results in 15 minutes before they let them on the cruise. At least at that point, that would be a better check than some of these other things, but that could be super expensive. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this happens when it fires up. And maybe if cruising fires up in Asia first, we all of a sudden get like a test bed to see how this is going to go. But I don't know. I do like some of these changes. I do like the self-service food. Any of these changes alarming to you? Any of these changes sound good to you? Let's have a conversation in the comments below. Hope you guys are doing good. That's the update. Tony with the Lido Loca Cruise Show. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.